Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror and sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Now today, I will be welcoming back my good friend Spice Williams-Crosby. She was like one of my earliest guests, number 12 to be exact, and she's been trying to make time to come on again ever since. Of course, as you know, the show has progressed. It went from on-camera, pre-recorded interviews, and it's really shifted, and now it's audio only, of course, and she's coming back on the show today, and we're just going to talk about stuff like I want to bring up some acting and stunt work she did that we didn't get to talk about last time. I also want to talk about our love of John Wayne movies and some other stuff as well, and it's going to be pretty good. I can't wait. Spice is just awesome. Just like me, she had an accident, and then she persevered, and she made something of herself. I mean, she's a total inspiration, and it's going to be great to have her on the show today. Back again. So yeah, here is my new interview with Spice Williams-Crosby.
Oh.
Hey, Spice. Welcome back, finally.
Hey, Tommy. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good. I'm making it through the ridiculous lunacy of it all, but, staying busy. Been training, working out, running, lifting weights, punching the bag, teaching martial arts, and then started a new painting. I lost my piano partner. I had a concert prepared for March 3rd, and it was going to be his last before he passed on, but the shutdown prevented that, and then he died. So now I'm looking for a new guy to play piano with for this concert. But just staying busy. You can't hit a moving target. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, from January to March, I was dieting heavily, and I lost 25 pounds. And,
wow!
Oh, that was just the tip of the iceberg. I need to lose like 100 more because my blood sugar was pretty high when I had it checked at the end of last year, and so I.
Yeah, but I mean, good for you, Tommy. I mean, you just keep going. It's a lifestyle. If you just change your lifestyle and you've lost 25 pounds, just keep going, being consistent.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I've maintained the weight since. I haven't been doing that much because our gym here is closed and our pool was closed. Now it's opening back up again, so I'm going to get back in again.
Well, there's a lot of when I did a movie down in Mexico, and I was stuck in the jungles in this castle, Cortez's castle.
Yeah.
It was called the Hacienda Vista Hermosa, and they didn't have any gym, they didn't have anything, but I put water bottles. I was using water bottles for like jugs for weights, doing shoulders and shoulder presses, and I was put chairs together and did tricep dips, and then I'd go out and run, and you'd just be surprised what you can do with nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just really worried, but I will get back on pretty soon though, and I'm taking every day as a blessing, day by day, this has just been, I never thought.
That's what they say. So they say if you wake up above ground, you had a good day.
Yeah. I just never thought we would ever be in a situation like this in my lifetime, But
well, how about my lifetime? I'm a lot older than you, but I never thought the politics would get this bad.
Yeah, I mean you lived through, Kennedy and Vietnam and Watergate and all that stuff.
And all of that. I mean,
yeah.
I did protest in the Vietnam War until I saw some guy light himself on fire, and I went, okay, this is a bit radical. But, yes, I've lived through a lot, but I've never seen this so horrifically bad, and it's obvious that it's coming from the Marxist societies funded by George Soros and all the globalists, and money. It can be very, very evil when it's sent in the wrong direction.
Absolutely. Oh my God. And I was worried about a month ago when you had released that status saying that you were taking a break from Facebook, because of all the haters and stuff. And it's gotten to that point now where you can't have a conversation without someone judging you because your beliefs are different than theirs.
Yeah, well, that's what they want. That's how socialism, that's how communism, that's how they control people with fear. And yeah, I just said I needed a spiritual nap because, the Black Lives Matters thing, which is a radical Marxist group, they don't care about black lives. If they did, they'd stop killing black people. And they were the ones down in Venezuela turning it socialists. You see down there, they're eating zoo animals and dog food. 1 out of every 4 homes has running water. So Black Lives Matter is all part of that. And so I had put up a picture of Jesus Christ, and I said, all lives matter. He was on the cross. It was a crucifixion. Said, all lives matter. Doesn't this man's life matter? And I got about 100 people going, of course. But then I got about 50 people just saying horrendous, awful things. And I finally thought, what do I need this for?
Yeah.
You start, and then also in my Spice of Life Health Q&A, I was posting all kinds of things as a doctor and 2 masters and a PhD and all my research. I've been researching viruses since 1982. I started posting scientific stats on a drug that a couple of my patients are on, which is hydroxychloroquine, which is very benign and nobody's died from it. And, I was just posting stuff, and Facebook was taking it down, saying that this doesn't go along with our community standards, this is false information. And I'm like, well, who the hell are you to tell me it's false? Are any of you guys over there with a PhD or a doctorate? You ever work in the morgue? You ever work on patients? What do you know? You ever formulate certain products? And then all of a sudden, they had to admit that hydroxychloroquine does work. But they were removing all of my posts.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this is ridiculous. Facebook is supposed to be where, we were all supposed to come together, meet each other, have fun, show pictures of our family, or maybe say things that were important to us. And basically, it has divided families, marriages, friends, business partners. It's worse than the part that I said Moses parted the Red Sea with. I mean, it's just, you say one thing and people pile on you like a fumbled football in a football game. And then you start thinking, your brain only has so much room to think about other stuff. And you're thinking about, that ass, I got to get back there and, counter him. And then I'm like, why? I'm not in the convincing business. This is insane. So
yeah.
I moved over to Parler. I really like Parler.
Parler? I never even heard of it.
Oh, dude. Parler.com. Parler. Parler.com. It is a great, great platform. Dan Bongino is an investor in it, and they don't censor you. You can post whatever you want. You got 1,000 space to put in 1,000 characters, and there's just a ton of people who have moved over there that are of like-minded people.
Nice. Yeah, the other day I commented with a sick joke about something about Trump's grabbing the pussy thing, and I said something like, well, if you're on a date with a tomboy, you better do it, otherwise she'll give you a Hertz donut. And some guy responded with like, oh, you're a rapist or something like that. So I just took the comment down because I don't want like a million other people saying that,
Oh, my God. Well, and here's the thing. I listened to that tape over and over again, and I hung out when I was on the road for 10 years with a lot of big-time celebrities. In my day, it was Engelbert Humperdinck and Rich Little, and I dated a lot of movie stars and a lot of rich people. Have you ever heard the term groupie?
Of course.
Okay, so every rock star, every musician, every singer, anybody that's ever been on stage, there are groupies. And some of these groupies, and I watched them throw their panties and hotel room keys up on the stage. I watched them line up so somebody could touch their pussy. Mm-hmm. And that's all Trump was saying, is that when you're a celebrity, these girls will let you touch their pussy, but he never said, I touch their pussy.
Yeah.
So, but it was a great, first of all, it was a private conversation. It was someone at ABC that pulled it out just because it was election time.
Yeah, and people come off so shocked, like they don't talk like that, or no president has ever talked like that.
Walk into a damn gym. I mean, even as people in the stunt world, when we'd be sitting around talking. I mean, I'm a girl, and I'd be with a bunch of guys, and I just turn into one of the guys who our language gets. We just get raunchy, Shit happens, like Trump said. It's just gym talk. It's backroom locker talk. And listen to any of the guys, football players in the back room. I mean, come on. They were just trying to get on their higher moral high ground. And
their high horse.
I mean, it's just insane. But anyway, so how's everything going for you?
It could be better right now. My mom's going through some stuff I don't want to get into on the air, but for me, oh my God, this has been the best year for my podcast because I am interviewing.
Really? How great is that?
I am interviewing icons. I mean, people that, I would just be happy to meet them and get their autograph, but like icons. I've had Burt Ward on here. I've had Marion Ross from Happy Days.
No way.
Oh, she called me back 2 hours after we did the interview and told me I was a gentleman and that she had a great time.
Oh, man, how sweet of her. Well, these are real so-called stars, Some of the other stars, they're just iconic people that are crazy, I mean, I don't have much respect for Hollywood.
Yeah.
As it has turned into what it's turned into now. And that's why I like, the movies my husband makes, Hacksaw Ridge. Did you see Hacksaw Ridge?
I still haven't seen Hacksaw yet. I want to.
Oh, right. I'm hanging up right now. What are you talking about, Tommy? How could you not see Hacksaw Ridge? Do you know that this movie, what's the number one grossing film, faith-based grossing film in the world? Do you know?
You mean right now or in history?
In history.
Titanic.
What?
Titanic, or at least it was.
No, faith-based film.
Okay.
Passion of the Christ.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
You know what number 2 is?
Hacksaw?
Yes. Hacksaw Ridge.
Lucky guess.
And it was a true story, and it's just so important right now for people to see it because this little guy just made an act of conviction to join the war, save lives, but he just couldn't touch a gun, and people, beat him up, broke his nose, knocked his teeth out, called him a coward, and yet in one of the worst, bloodiest, most violent battles on top of Okinawa, this cliff called Hacksaw Ridge, listen to the name, Hacksaw Ridge, he single-handedly saved 75 men's lives in one day, and over a course of so many days, over 450 men's lives, and not one bullet could touch him.
Wow.
He did not carry a gun, and he claims that it was his angels and that he connects with God every day and miracles will come true. And, nobody could get this movie made. My husband went to him. They did a prayer circle, and Desmond T. Doss gave permission for my husband, Gregory Crosby, to make this movie. Nobody could do it for 50 years. And Mel Gibson came out of retirement, and the rest is history. It became we were up for 6 Academy Awards, and we won 2. Probably would have won them all, but, there's such diversity. Apparently, there were just too many many white people in World War II. But anyway, you got to see it. It is, and we get letters. Gregory gets emails, letters, Facebook, Instagram, everything. He gets from people saying they've seen it 10, 20 times. It changed their life. They're sobbing. The veterans let him know, my God, you just did this so well. And then he wrote a book called The Birth of Hacksaw Ridge, how Desmond T. Doss got his faith to do what he did.
Wonderful.
Excuse me. So, I mean, it's just amazing. You got to see it, Tommy. You really need to see it.
I will. I promise I will. There's one I can recommend to you. It's called, have you seen Warfighter?
Warfighter? No. What is that?
It came out about 2 years ago. The guy who made it, his name is Jerry G. Angelo, and he's been on my show. And he actually asked me if I wanted to be in his next movie. And I said, sure. And it was going to be made, and then COVID hit, and now it's on hiatus. But Warfighter is about post-traumatic stress disorder. And there's some crazy war battle scenes in this movie that are obviously meant to be fake, but they're also meant to, show the effects of post-traumatic stress disorder. And he does it in such an avant-garde way that, you feel like you're watching an HBO art house movie, Wow. And it's...
Well, see, that was what was so important in Hacksaw Ridge. Right. Because it's a beautiful love story because he meets his wife and everything, Desmond T. Doss. But when he goes into war, and this guy's like 5'6", 133 pounds, little skinny guy, but he was like a roughhouser. He used to climb onto ice cream trucks. He broke his leg. He'd be rock climbing. He'd be falling out of trees. I mean, this guy was truly an athlete. But when he gets into the actual war, and then everybody beat him up, and he had to go to court and say, look, I joined this army to save lives, not take lives, and you cannot throw me out because of my faith in God. Thou shalt not kill. They said, okay, fine, you're welcome to go into the hellfires of war without a gun. And the war sequences are absolutely horrific. Mel Gibson actually got a guy who was a double amputee and set him up to have prosthetic legs on him. And then they had a counselor there, and they also had somebody, and Mel was talking him through this scene so he could reenact the moment his legs got blown off in the war. And it was just so real, but some people said they just couldn't watch it, but then the vets were saying, thank you for not making it look like a Walt Disney movie.
Yeah.
Because this is what it looks like.
Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah. Oh my God. What do you miss doing the most during this time?
Well, I have, my husband makes the big faith-based films. He just finished one on he just finished his script on John Wayne, Marion. He's calling it a fabulous script. He had a 10-hour miniseries on Nikola Tesla. He's doing his grandfather's script, Bing, the early years, his grandfather's Bing Crosby. So he continues to write and continues to do his stuff. I make the small faith-based films. I had an award-winning film called Duke, which is themed around John Wayne Duke. And then also, who's not a racist, that's a lie. And then also Talk to the Animals. So my next movie was called Life Goes On. And I was all ready to shoot in January with Michael Pare.
Oh, I love Michael Pare.
Then COVID hit.
Yeah.
And then the shutdown hit, and then the finances got like, oh, we were afraid to give you the money for this, and then we were ready to go again, and then we were supposed to shoot at the end of this month, and now it's just like, basically, the script is amazing. It's based around suicide. And it's, I play a woman, Sally, whose son died in the Afghan war, and I wanted to slit my wrist. I couldn't deal with it, and it broke my marriage up. And then, but I got over it because I got into, finding God and rescuing horses. And then my next door neighbor, he is Michael Pare, plays Scotty. He had a fight with his wife, and she grabbed the daughter. They get in the car, and she starts texting him saying, I can't live like this anymore, and they die in a head-on crash. And so Sally has to run to go rescue a horse, and her car won't start, so she runs over to Scotty's house to get a jumper cable, and just then he's putting a gun to his head to kill himself.
Yeah.
And, of course, he hears the doorbell, and his head moves, and he misses, and I go running in. I grab him, throw him in a shower, clean him up, drag him out, give him some coffee, and say, look, this is not the way. And we get into an argument. He goes, oh, yeah? Well, look at you. Look at the scars on your wrist. And I'm like, yeah, okay, but here's how I did it, and we can do it together. And they eventually go out to rescue this horse together. And Scotty realizes that, they use a lot of horse equine therapy for PTSD. And it's called, for the vets, equine therapy. So we have a scene where Scotty looks into the eyes of this horse. And he just starts sobbing and runs out to the ocean and drops to his knees, just reaching out for God, and says, what do we do? What do I do now? And I just say, well, life goes on, Scotty. We live. And so that is the bastardized synopsis of Life Goes On, but we want to make it into a series. That would be the pilot, but then the next one will be me, Sally, and Scotty actually have teamed up to go out and find other people who are troubled and want to kill themselves and end it all, and we try and help them find their way out of this dark hole by looking towards the light. So it's going to be really exciting. I already have distribution on it. I already have all kinds of things. I have a whole crew, I have a whole cast, I have everything going, except for I'm lacking right now about $4,000.
Oh.
4,000 or 5,000. And I mean, it seems like so little, but right now, ask somebody for $4 and they look at you like, what are you, crazy?
Yeah.
So it's just kind of bad timing.
Yeah, I had a script all written that this was going to be the year that I was going to, ask investors to get it made and stuff, but now I gotta wait. It's just, it's weird.
Know. I mean, I'm waiting to find a keyboard player so I can do my concert.
Yeah,
I'm just so sad that my partner died before I could do his last concert, so now I've got to find another. Yeah,
I didn't know that about you, that you did piano concerts.
Well, I don't really. Well, 50 years ago, I played it. I'm a musician. I did play. I was signed with 20th Century Records. I had my own rock group, but I did a lot of classical concerts, recitals when I was younger. And I kind of just dropped it and went into other things, but I don't know. I had this moment of one of my favorite all-time dual piano. Two piano, four hands is Aaron Copland. Aaron Copland's my all-time favorite.
Yeah.
All-time favorite composer. I definitely have a list of music of his I want to be played at my funeral because, trust me, I love him so much. And so one of them was Billy the Kid. And my grandmother fed and clothed Billy the Kid in 1880 before he was killed. And so I have a little history there. And the interesting thing about Billy, he looked like a girl. He was 5'4", and he had small hands, pretty little face, small feet. And so when the posse would come into town, he'd run down to the local whorehouse, and they'd dress him up, put makeup on him, and he would go and work as a waitress. So when the posse came in, he could overhear. He'd be serving them food. He'd overhear where the posse was going.
Yeah.
And he was really a nice guy. He just had a problem killing people.
Yeah.
But that's because he saw his mom at 12 years old get tied up, tortured, and killed. And when he killed their attackers, that was it. He just, that line between what's right and wrong got blurred. But anyway, it's an amazing 17-minute piece, and I played it to a full audience about 50 years ago, and it was a very exciting moment for me. But the problem was I had no friends or family there. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking, God, I'd love to do it again and invite all my friends and family. No food, no drink, no nothing, but just come and enjoy like a little Billy the Kid evening and have some fun. And my guy was doing it with me. He was a performer and a professional musician, but during the shutdown, he couldn't get his proper cancer treatments, and so he died.
Oh, sad.
I know. So I'm like, no, I'm going to do this damn thing. I'm going to find someone that wants to do this with me in his honor because I'm not going to drop. We rehearsed together over a course of 6 months. I mean, you don't. If you can read music, you don't really need to rehearse it. It's probably more for me because I suck at playing the piano. But I'm performance ready now, and now it's just like, oh, my fingers just itching to get in front of an audience, but can't do anything. We were gonna. It's hard to find a place with two pianos that's open. We were gonna do it at Valley College. They're closed till the winter. Mm-hmm. So Tommy, I don't do good in limbo.
No, you don't. You are always busy. You do all these different things, which is amazing. I mean, you're a true Renaissance woman, and now you have so many friends and family. They can actually come and see you do this concert.
Yeah, that would be the exciting thing because, like you said, you didn't know I played piano. You didn't know that of me. Mm-hmm. So that, and then I kind of dragged out my painting skills because what else? I mean, you can only run so long. You can only train so long. You can only practice piano so long. So I've managed to, last year I painted a Monument Valley picture with John Wayne and James Arness on horses riding into the sunset with Jesus on a donkey, taking him into the sun, the light, called the Sermon on the Mount, and I was able to make copies and sell that and be able to donate close to $1,000 to the John Wayne Cancer Foundation. And so this year right now I'm in the middle of painting a painting where the clouds are a little stormy, but the sun is starting to shine, and it's God's hands reaching through the clouds as there's an American eagle hanging onto a flagpole that is tattered.
Yeah.
And it's flying through the mountains. And I'm calling it One Nation Under God. So I'm just trying to express myself in various ways before as I'm going nuts. What can I say? I miss filming. I miss working. That's what I miss a lot. I had 4 films ready to go in January, and I was supposed to go to Puerto Rico on 2 of them. And so I miss working. I love to work, It's not even about the money. I just love working. So that's what I would say I miss a lot.
Yeah. Oh, my God. I just miss, going to conventions. I miss getting laid. I mean, all the stuff that I used to do.
Well, yeah, of course. Geez. In that order, or should you switch? You could switch that around.
Sometimes in that order, if I was lucky, if I went to a convention, I was lucky.
I know. Well, yeah, that's true. Then it would be in the convention first, then getting laid second, I guess.
Yeah. What are your...
Well, I have a convention, and here's the thing. I have a convention also I'm going to in Virginia, Roanoke, Virginia.
Yeah.
It's called the Happy Trails. It's a fabulous Western, Christian, more so, very patriotic convention, and it's been going on for, 35 years maybe.
Wow.
And I started going way back in 1990, and it's run by some of the most amazing people. And last year I was with Patrick Wayne, John Wayne's son. I was with Chris Mitchum, Robert Mitchum's son, and Kathy Garver, from what was the show?
Family Affair. Family Affair.
Family Affair, thank you.
Yeah.
All the brain cells are killed in you. And, oh my God, just some amazing, Kevin Sarbow's wife was there, and just some amazing people that show up at this convention. Mm-hmm. Wonderful actors and everything. Well, it's every year in October, and I just got a letter this morning. They pay you, they fly you out, you sign autographs, and I actually go there and teach like a little martial arts class to some of the students, and we all kind of contribute.
Nice.
Anyway, I just got an email this morning saying that because of their governor in Virginia, that moron, that he wants everybody wearing a mask, social distancing, and any gathering in churches and things are not going to be permissible.
Oh, boy.
It's okay if you want to go out and scream Black Lives Matters, burn buildings down, but God forbid you should go to church and sing some hymns.
Yeah. Well, we're not going to have Monsterpalooza this year, but I'm hoping to God we're going to have Shriek Fest. I've never been there, and Denise, who's the promoter, the organizer, she's been wanting me to go the last 3 years, and I hope I get to this year and stuff, because I need to get the hell out and have some fun,
Oh, right. I didn't think about that, Monsterpalooza. Wow.
Yeah. God, they had a great lineup this year. I was going to go in May, and I was going to go to the Hollywood show. They were the same weekend, and then they got canceled because of this.
Wow. The biggest regret, I've got some regrets in my life, but one of my biggest regrets is I was at Monsterpalooza with Luke, my son.
Yeah.
And one of my all-time favorite stars was Richard Anderson. Not the $6 million, the Bionic Woman, or
all the westerns. Yeah, he did westerns.
But his westerns, he was in all kinds of The Rifleman and Bonanza and Rawhide, and oh my God, I just love this guy. He's an amazing actor. So I was walking down the hall, with all the little celebrities every which way.
Yeah.
And Luke goes, "Mom, look over there." And I'm like, "What? What?" He goes, "It was Richard Anderson." And I was just like, "Oh, you steal my heart." So, me, Tommy, okay, I am like a Trekkie. I'm a Trekker. Yep. I'm a fangirl. For me, I get goofy when I just love a celebrity so much for their talent and for their work.
Same here.
So I went over and I was like just beside myself, and I wound up, he was very soft-spoken because, good Lord, he was in his 90s.
Yeah.
But he still looked pretty good, and oh my God, I feel so bad. I took up about 30 minutes of talking to him. And at the time, the ATM machine where you could go get money to buy autographs had broken down.
Oh, shit.
So for me to buy an autograph from him, I'd have to get in the car and drive over to a bank and get some money because I didn't have any money left.
Yeah.
And I was trying to hit Luke up. I go, "Luke, come on, you got to have a 20 on you. You got to have something." He goes, "Mom, I spent it all." And so I'm like, oh, crap. So we talked, and he was so gracious, and I didn't get his autograph. I was just... Anyway, I asked him if I could hug him and say goodbye, and then when I walked back to where my manager was, I told him, and he goes, "Oh, well, here's 20, and I'm like, "You're kidding me." So I ran back, and he had left for the day.
Oh, God.
So then, about, I don't know, so many months later, Luke said, "Mom," I go, "What?" And he said, "You're not going to be happy about this, but Richard Anderson has died." And I'm like, "No, I could have had his... I have great memories of sharing information with this man and seeing his kindness and how he was, but I don't know. Sounds goofy. It just sounds goofy. I mean, I'm as bad as the fans out there. When they come to get my autograph, I'm like, "Yeah, let's take some pictures." I love that, because where else in the world you can't buy that kind of therapy? When I have people flying in from all over the world to come get my autograph and take pictures with me, oh my God, what a great honor for someone to care about you that much.
Yeah.
It's insane. You can't buy that kind of therapy.
No, and when I was supposed to go to a convention that George Romero was at, and he died.
Well, that's Chris Rowe. Chris Rowe, my manager, managed George Romero.
Yeah. Yeah, George.
I've spent a couple evenings with those guys. George Romero is very cool.
Yeah.
You didn't meet him or what?
He died a couple months before I could go to this convention, and
Yeah, see, it happens. You know, nobody's getting out of this thing alive. I can tell you that much.
Yeah, but I've more than made up with it. I've interviewed so many people that worked with him in the Dead trilogy, the original Dead trilogy and stuff, and it's been very gratifying. You know, it's kind of sad though when I find out, you know, towards the end he was very bitter and he alienated himself from a lot of those people. But it's great, you know, that I get to do that.
Well, I don't know. Chris Rose got a different story about it, and when I met him, had dinner with him, he was funnier than hell. I never saw any bitterness. I never saw anything like that. He was outspoken, but God, who isn't these days?
Who isn't?
You know, I mean, especially me. I'm like, my son cringes every time I open my mouth, but I don't give a shit. I'm too old at this point.
Yeah. I'm just at the point now, you know, I mean, I'm not rubbing it in, but I turned 37 last month, and I'm at the point...
Oh, you're a baby.
Yeah. I'm at the point now where I just don't have any time for negativity. I just don't want to be negative at all. I just want everything to be positive, you know, and I try to defuse any fire that's being erupted, you know.
Well, that's good. You know, it's really important that you focus on that. I mean, every day we should be connecting with God, saying our prayers, asking for help, blessing people. I mean, what are we doing here anyway? I mean, you incarnate into this envelope of flesh, and then you spend most of your time hating someone? I mean, I don't get it. What's the point?
Yeah, I don't understand it, but that's what I do, and I'm glad I have that outlook now because I never used to, you know. I mean, especially during my drinking days, I was very negative all the time.
Well, during my drinking and drug overdoses, I think I was happy, but who remembers? Like, I had 3 drug and alcohol overdoses. So by the time I was 26, though, I did hit my knees and ask God to help me turn my life around. So, but everybody said I looked like I was having a good time, but I'm having a much better time having a beautiful husband, having a beautiful child, living my life in the light, and still getting up, waking up above ground and going, okay, another day, God, thanks.
Yeah, I mean, I remember good times I had drunk, and there's a lot of bad times I don't remember that people have told me about. I don't regret the good times I had drunk, but I do regret the bad times, and I wish I had stopped earlier than I did, but then again, I wouldn't have had that accident, and I wouldn't be podcasting right now.
Well, you see, there's no accidents in this universe, and very important spiritual mistakes that we make, and they're all for development and growth. So, you know, it's a great book I read called Power versus Force. And I'm trying to think of the doctor that wrote it, Dr. David, I think, Dr. Brian, something. Anyway, Power versus Force. And he was able to seismographically measure people's thought processes and your own vibrational frequencies. And he has a scale in this book from 0 on up to 1,000. And when you think bad thoughts, negative thoughts, angry thoughts, it's very low vibrating. Everybody vibrates below 200, basically. When it's like you hate someone, you're angry at someone, somebody cuts you off, and you're like, oh, F you, and whatever. You know, you're vibrating at the same frequency of cancer and other problems. But then when you start going up into a higher frequency, like, well, I really want that job, but if I don't get it, I'm sure God wants something else for me. Now you're getting into the 200s. When you get into, like, you want to love all creatures on this earth, you're getting more into the 350s. They say that Jesus vibrated at 1,000, and there were only 12 of those entities on this planet Earth. Mm-hmm. But to be able to, through Kirlian photography and vibrational frequencies, to measure diseases and coincide them with your emotions, you can actually see how hate and anger and all of that is vibrating at the same frequency of illness and cancer. So it's best to just go, you know what? Let it go. Just let it go. Take a deep breath and find the light.
I agree. What are your favorite John Wayne movies?
All of them. Come on, my dad lived with John Wayne in the 30s, and my dad was just like him, and my dad had an incurable disease. He contracted cerebral malaria in Africa, and he had polycythemia. Well, it's curable today, but it wasn't then. So he killed himself, and then I was lost. My dad was my hero. So I was lost. So at that time, I just kind of adopted John Wayne was my hero in absence of my dad.
Oh.
So when I really got older, I kind of looked at him as his father figure, but then as I got older, and of course I started developing into a woman, then he was like, oh my God, he's so sexy, he's so gorgeous, now I'm in love with him. But I would say, right off the bat, of course, it would be The Quiet Man.
Yeah.
And then McClintock.
Ah, great.
And then The Searchers.
Yeah, my favorite of all time.
And then last night I couldn't sleep, so I went on my phone, and I found The Spoilers with Marlene Dietrich, Alaska, North by Alaska, so much fun. So many of them. I mean, Tommy, he was amazing. And here's the thing. How dare they call him a racist? He married 3 Hispanic women.
Yes.
He built on The Searchers a playground and a waterway for the American Indian village out in the desert and flew a little girl, Indian girl, in to have surgery and paid for it to save her life. He also had a black man working for him, which his second wife didn't want in the house because she wanted her mom to move in, something like that. So he went and bought the guy a business and said, I want this to always take care of you and your family. He hired dozens upon dozens of minorities. He never showed any of them disrespect. What John Wayne said in that Playboy interview was totally misconstrued, and it was really what he was saying was the same thing Martin Luther King said. Martin Luther King said, be judged for the content of your character, not the color of your skin. And John Wayne was saying, look, I want these black people, whatever they're rioting for, protesting for, I want them to have whatever they want, but they should be given it because they earned it, not just for the color of their skin. And for that, they're calling him a racist.
I don't get that. And plus, you have to remember, too, the characters he was playing, that's the way they talked back then in those century times.
And then the interview took place in the 60s. And the guy from Playboy was a hard, radical liberal from England who hated John Wayne because he stood for Americana.
Yeah.
So they were setting him up left and right. And, Duke was, when he said, well, what about the whole thing with the McCarthy era and all the communism, he said, well, look, you got to remember, we just came back from World War II. We just came back from thousands and thousands of our soldiers being killed trying to fight communism. Now, all of a sudden, we see it on our shores. We see it in Hollywood. We see it. It penetrated Hollywood. It's still, Hollywood's gone. The Hollywood I knew, it's gone. It's all used for political leftist stuff, and it's very sad. And then if you're conservative and you want to do a conservative movie, they blacklist you, just like they did in the McCarthy era.
Yeah, it's crazy, and what's his name? James Woods, he's been having trouble getting work just because of his beliefs.
Who?
James Woods.
Oh, God, yeah, he gave it up a long time ago. He goes, okay, fine. And I know James Woods is amazing, but there's a lot of people out there, like Antonio Sabato Jr.
Yeah.
I think I was on a soap opera with him, and I've always liked him. He became a council member, I think, out in West Valley somewhere, or something like that. Anyway, he can't work as an actor, but he's teaming up with a bunch of people to make a conservative studio.
Yes.
And, I mean, there's a lot of people like John Voight.
Yeah.
And Robert Davi. I've worked with Robert Davi. I've worked with a lot of conservative actors. They just keep their mouth shut on the set while everybody else is trashing, our government, trashing our country. They can do that, but we can't say, "Hey, I'm a proud patriot. I love America." I mean, if you say, like all lives matter, they can shoot you in the head and get away with it, like they did in New York.
Yeah, it's sad, Have you ever seen Reap the Wild Wind?
Oh yeah, of course.
That's one of the rare times where Duke is a bad guy.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of things, but he hated in the end. Didn't he go back down?
Yeah.
And the octopus got him.
Yeah, the octopus got him at the end.
Yeah, and Gail Russell was the star of that show. Well, Gail Russell was also in one of the greatest films he did, which was The Angel and the Bad Man.
Oh, yeah. And also...
And she was so beautiful, but she was so messed up. She was an alcoholic. She died of alcoholism at 36 years old. And Duke tried desperately to help her. And I think one time he drove her home from a party because she was so sloshed, and his second wife, Chada, accused him of cheating and pulled a gun on him and everything. I mean, Duke was not the greatest judge of character with some women. I mean, his first wife was beautiful and wonderful, and he always loved her, and then his second wife was a nut job. And his third wife, Pilar, was beautiful and wonderful, but, Duke just... He's set in his ways to do his things, and while people are evolving, they kind of evolved away from each other. But you always loved Duke. It's just whether you could live with him or not.
Yeah.
But he desperately was screaming for love. He was born like 10 pounds, something like that. He was a big baby, and his mother hated him. The minute he came out, she didn't want to nurse him. She didn't want to have anything to do with him, and he wound up looking more like her husband, who she hated. And she let him know, "I don't really love you, but you're going to have to take care of your brother, who I love more than you." She took his middle name. It was Marion Robert Morrison. She goes, "I'm going to take your middle name away from you and give it to my second son." So he became Marion Michael Morrison. And then he was walking home from school one day, and he had a black eye, and the fireman came out and said, "Hey, kid, where'd you get that black eye?" And he goes, "Oh, I don't want to talk about it." And they said, "What's your name?" He goes, "American." And they were like, "Ha, that's why you got it." And he said, "You got your dog there. What's your dog's name?" He said, "Duke." And he goes, "Well, from now on, you're Big Duke, that's Little Duke." And that's how he got his name. But until the day he died, he was desperately wanting his mother's love and approval, and even when he made it big, he was sending her around the world with her new husband and buying her things. And even his secretary said one time, "You gonna thank your son?" And she goes, "Why should I? I didn't ask him to do it."
God.
In my mind, all the research and everything I've read and about him is that deep down inside, he was this little boy just begging for his mother's love, and yet he got the world to love him, and all the wonderful things he did, and he stood tall and cast a great shadow, but, I guess he could never get his mother's love and approval. Anyway, my husband wrote this amazing script, and he's in the last touch-up rewrites of it now, and he's calling it Marion, because it's not about all his big movies and stuff. It's really about this little boy inside this incredible American icon.
That's wonderful. I was on YouTube and I saw that you were on a couple episodes of Acapulco Heat years ago.
Oh, I co-starred in that show, yeah. I started it out. I was down there for the very beginning of it. And, we filmed that in Puerto Vallarta. Oh, my God. What a fun time. Let me tell you something. What a way to, Paris sail, go horseback riding, eat off the land. What a great time. Then go shoot and do some fighting and stuff. I mean, it was a really fun production.
I used to watch that show, when Viacom and Paramount became UPN, and they were on one of our local UHF stations in the Bay Area. I'd watch that show. I'd watch Kung Fu: The Legend Continues, and so many others. I always thought Acapulco Heat was such a great show. It should have been on a major network.
Yeah, well, that was kind of an interesting time when people were going out of the country, getting special deals. Stephen, what's his name? Steve. Honey, who did I go to Canada on? Stephen, the production. Huh? Oh, yeah. Stephen Canal Productions.
Oh,
they
yeah.
were going up in Canada, and there were a lot of productions going down in Mexico and stuff like that, because they could get just work really, really cheap and stuff. And actors wanted to leave the country for fun and enjoyment and stuff like that, but it basically started screwing our whole Hollywood, because Hollywood disappeared at that point.
Yeah, people were going to Canada. They were going to all sorts of different places to do shows. New York. It was strange during that time.
Yeah, well, it wouldn't have been so bad if, I had a TV series called Hack Squad, and I really liked going up to Canada to do that show, and it wouldn't have been so bad. But what happened was Canada then turned around and said, hey, we don't want you Americans here. We want to use our own people. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, this is not fun anymore. It was fun when we could work there, but not if you're going to kick us out. And then when you go to Atlanta or Georgia, Atlanta and North Carolina or these other states, they're saying hey, you Californians, we're going to use our local talent. Why should we use you?
Yeah.
So the whole business just screwed itself, and especially in Hollywood, Los Angeles, the permits went up so much, you can't drive down the street unless you only have a 90-second turnaround time, and that makes it dangerous if you're doing any chase sequences. And it just got so that a lot of producers and people were saying, screw this. Let's go somewhere where they make it easy, and that's why I wound up doing films in Michigan and Iowa, all over the place. I was being flown to go out to some of these other places where they gave tax breaks, and California just screwed itself. I think that's what happens. These people, when they get so power elite hungry, is that they start taking over, and the little guy starts to suffer, but in the end they screw themselves. They start eating themselves because of all their restrictions and all their cancel culture and all their BS moral high ground stuff. They start screwing themselves, and I think that's where we're at right now, where the snake is devouring its own tail.
That's a great analogy to put it, yeah. Oh, my God. Do you think that you'll ever retire from doing stunts?
Well, I don't know. Last year I did this outrageous, my manager, Chris Rowe, who's awesome man, who was, the manager for, who were we just talking about?
George Romero.
George Romero, shit. They say the mind's the second thing to go. But anyway, he produced a film short, which was just awesome, and he asked me if I would do a stair fall for it. It was a gnarly spiral staircase fall. And I literally had to dress as two different women. They were twins. And so I wound up going down this staircase about 3 or 4 times. It was pretty nasty and a difficult fall, but I really enjoyed it. I only hit my head once, and the sound was so loud they decided to keep it in. But it was The Tale of Two Sisters, and it's from his company. Tea Time Productions, and it was just amazing. So I didn't have any problem. I still fight and still hit the ground when I'm, fighting in martial arts studio. I mean, I know how to fall, so, but I like kind of stunt coordinating, fight coordinating, where I can design and set the fight up and put it all together, and then bring in the right people to do that.
Yeah.
So, that's exciting. It's like there's different levels. I love my acting so much where I can express myself. I love the physicality of working with guns and knives and punching and hitting and going up over tables and making sure it looks snappy, but it's not. And then I love being able to direct. When you're a fight coordinator, you kind of get behind the camera and you see how things are going to look, and then you start directing and creating things. So I don't think I want to give any of that up. I suppose if I become 80 years old, 85 years old, I don't know. I knew one of the stunt guys, Dick Butler, I think it was. He was 85. He went down a flight of stairs just for the hell of it on a show, just to say, hey, I can still do this. As long as you stay in good shape. But I mean, it depends. I'm not going to do motorcycle stuff. I don't throw myself off buildings anymore. I mean, a fire gag wouldn't hurt because that's not too physical. You just got to keep your brain together.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things you can do as a stunt person all the way up until you call it a day as far as living. But as long as you have a good people around you to protect you. But right now, my desire really, my real desire is acting in these faith-based films where I can use my talent to help change someone's pain mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And so my faith-based movies are very important to me right now.
Yeah. I've talked to a lot of stunt performers last few years, both male and female, and they've all told me that, they reached a certain point where they knew it was time to hang it up, right? But back in January, I interviewed this one stunt guy. Do you know Dickie Beer?
Yeah. If I saw his face, I would know him.
He's Dutch. He's done a lot of Paul Verhoeven movies. He told me that he wants to die doing a stunt because he loves doing it that much, even at the age of 75 or whatever he is. And I said to him, would you be happy working 16 hours a day doing stunts and then go home and die in your sleep? And he's like, absolutely.
God. Well, I'll tell you one story. In 2016, I coordinated a film. I was actually one of the co-stars, but I coordinated this film with Gary Daniels and Michael Pare. It's called Astro, and it had a lot of fights. A lot of fights, and it was about space and all kinds of crazy-ass stuff. But anyway, I wanted to hire veterans, and I was in Roswell, New Mexico. So I called up, I found all the people, stunt guys that were around Albuquerque and Roswell and New Mexico that were actual veterans, retired veterans or active veterans, whatever, that wanted to be stuntmen. And I hired them. And they all played these, were henchmen, and we had some big-ass fights. And Gary Daniels, who is an amazing kickboxer, he's a wonderful wonderful fighter that can do his own stunts. But in this space base, that part of the story, were some scientists. And there's a big thing that breaks out with explosions and all that stuff. And I desperately wanted to bring in my friend, who is 92 years old at the time. And he's an artist, and he was a stuntman. And, geez, I don't know why. His name is Flipping Money, who's the guy that I hired in New Mexico that I love so much. My husband. I I apologize because I've got so much on my mind right now.
It's okay.
No, yeah, I'm going to get it for you right now because the story is so well worth it that Johnny Hagner.
Tony Hagner.
The mind's the second thing to go. But anyway, so Tommy, listen, the guy's name is Johnny Hagner.
Right.
And he's a cowboy. He does high falls. He's a musician. He plays all these instruments. He sings. But he's one of the most amazing artists ever. Anyway, I called him up, and he lived in Utah.
Mm-hmm.
And Moab, Utah. And I said, Johnny, what are you doing? He goes, I'm going to the gym. Now, you got to know that this guy's 90 years old.
Yeah.
I said, you're going to the gym? Well, he goes, yeah, I was just practicing some high falls. You know, you got to stay ready, Spice. He hadn't worked since 1960s. He was on all the John Wayne movies. He was on all the cowboy movies. So I said, you want to work? And he goes, I got my bags packed. So I hired Mr. Johnny Hagner. And, oh, my God, he was tall, silver hair, put him in a lab coat. He looked like this amazing scientist. And he did we gave him some lines. There was a big explosion. He has this huge fight scene. I'm involved in it. Some bad guy's grabbing me around the neck. He tries to pull him off, slams him into a bookshelf. He eats it at the camera, turns around. The guy throws him over the table. He hits the ground, crawls to the desk, pulls a gun out, and shoots the guy. Like the guy said, get off me, old man. He goes, don't ever call me an old man again, and shoots the guy. Well, we were in like 10 below zero weather. Everybody's freezing. Everybody's complaining about the food. But Johnny never said a damn word. Every day he was just such a pleasure to be with and just so amazing. And I was so proud to be able to, because he was in the Antarctica. He was a true vet from World War II, and so here I had all my veterans working of all different ages. One was like 20, and then I got a 90-year-old. Long story short, about 3 months later, I called to see how Johnny was doing. And his sister, I couldn't get him, and then his daughter, I think, emailed me back. Said, Johnny's in the hospital. He didn't want you to know that he wasn't feeling well. And I go, well, please give me his number. I want to talk to him. I want to tell him how much I love him and stuff. And she got back to me, and she said, I'm so sorry. He just passed away. I'm like, what? Yeah. He was just hitting the ground. He was just flying all over the place. She said, well, he didn't want you to know, but when you hired him, he was just diagnosed with pancreatic cancer.
Oh.
And she said, you don't understand how great it was for you to give him this job before he died, that he was able to act and do stunts, what he loved. He ate, breathed, and slept to be able to do this. And you gave him his last job before he died.
Oh, my God. That's beautiful. That's a beautiful story, Spice.
So, in that respect, I get it. I don't want to die on a show. I mean, that would be bad. But, I mean, if you love doing what you do so much, and that's why I'm a piano player. That's why I wanted to do this concert before my guy died. And I was there like an hour before he actually crossed over, and he was desperately trying to say something to me. I think it was like, I'm so sorry. Like, he's sorry he couldn't make it. But, it's just like...
That's a sad story, but
just really
it's a beautiful story.
Amazing. I was so proud to be able to have Johnny with me, and I wanted to see if I can find his. Oh, here on Facebook. If you go to, let's see, Stunt Stars and Legends.
Yeah.
Because he had the Stuntman's Hall of Fame he created years and years ago. And you can go to the stuntman.org or Stunt Stars and Legends, and you'll see his paintings. His paintings, Tommy, look like a photograph. But he literally documented, while he was on the set, he documented all these stunts of people while they were doing them, and instead of a photograph, he drew them. And if you see Yakima Canuck on horses under the team, and you see amazing things, all these stunts of all these great stuntmen. I actually was indoctrinated into the Stuntmen's Hall of Fame in 2010, I think it is. So everybody that gets indoctrinated gets a portrait drawn by Johnny, and then they would draw the scene of some action scene with you. So just check that out on Facebook, Stunt Stars and Legends, and you'll see, wow, it's just magnificent. And what a shame we've lost him. What a shame. But I was so excited that I could make his dream come true.
That's beautiful. I will check it out, Stunt Stars and Legends. I have this secret silly game that I like to play with guests, Spice. And what this is it's a series of silly slumber party questions. And nobody wins or loses. It's just for fun. And how the game works is I ask you the question, you answer it, and then you ask me the exact same question, and I answer it.
Oh, all right. Let me see if I got 2 masters and a PhD. You think I can?
Yeah.
Think I can do this?
Yeah. Spice, are you ticklish?
Yes, I am. I almost broke my husband's finger one time because he tried to tickle me. All right. Tell me, are you ticklish?
I am baby ticklish. I get a knee-jerk reaction when I'm tickled.
Oh, I hate it.
Yeah. What's your favorite part of any body?
Wow, there's a loaded question. Wow.
It could be anything.
Well, anything, shit. I don't know, man. Let me see that. I guess someone's eyes, because they're the windows to a person's souls.
I agree, yeah.
All right, so what's the favorite part of a person's body for you?
For anyone, I love the belly button.
Oh, really? Well, that's kind of, if you really get into it, that's the beginning of life.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
The umbilical cord.
Yeah, I know a woman, she uses this metaphor. She says that, God, he pokes every baby in the stomach and gives them a belly button and connects them to a woman on earth.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a cute little saying.
Yeah, I think that's a cute little analogy, I think.
Yep.
What color are your toenails painted?
This week, because
Yes.
I change them every week.
Yeah.
Let's see, what are they? They're blue with shiny gold sparkles on them. And then, Tommy, what color are your toenails painted?
Right now they're au naturel, but last time they were painted, they were purple with sparkles the last time.
Oh, okay. Well, that's usually me.
Yeah. What would you say is your best personality trait?
Jesus, I don't know. My best personality trait? Shit. Let me ask my husband. Honey, what do you think my best personality trait is? Oh, my husband, he loves me. He'd say it. He said my heart. I would say that when it all comes down to it, I like connecting spiritually with people.
That's beautiful. I agree. You are that person.
And what's your best personality trait?
My sense of empathy, and I have no filter.
Well, wait, that's part B. Okay, I have no filter either. I'm done with that. I'm done with filtering. It's just, it's too late at my age to filter out my feelings.
Well, I've always been that way, you know. I mean, I have probably the longest track record of losing friends and losing jobs because I just say what's on my mind, you know. I'm one of those guys. You have to look both ways before laughing, otherwise you're going to get canceled.
Yeah, no, I don't believe in the cancel culture, and I think it hurts. I think started in Hollywood too, and now they're eating their own. They can't do comedy anymore. They're shutting down all the shows. I mean, this whole thing where they hate cops, so now they want to stop all the cop shows and everything. I mean, God, when your greed and your hate exceed your common sense.
Yeah.
Tell me, what's wrong with common sense?
There's nothing wrong with common sense, but you gotta.
No, it ain't so common. That's the problem.
Yeah, you gotta be smart about it.
Yeah, well, that's a loaded statement right there.
And then my favorite question: is there a stinky smell that just makes you gag?
Well, there is. How do I explain this?
Gym sweat?
No, I'd be gagging every second. Actually, I spent 2 years in the coroner's office doing voluntary autopsies.
Oh.
I'd show up every now and then because it would really help me with my studies. And, it's a dying business. No, I'm just kidding. But,
That's good. That's good. I like that.
there is a particular smell of death.
Mm-hmm.
Very sweet, sour smell. And most people don't smell it off a human body.
Mm-hmm.
They may smell it if an animal under their house gets trapped and dies and things like that. But boy, you could be walking through the forest, you could be walking by a house, or you could be walking by a dead body. I mean, the smell is enough to take your own oxygen away. And that's why when you go into the morgue, sometimes you got to put smelling stuff up your nose and cover yourself. And the worst thing was when there'd be bodies in there that were caught on fire, because that smelled like a barbecue. And when you smell things that smell like food, it can drop the gastric juices in the gut lining, and you get really lightheaded and you feel hungry, which is really strange. Smells, that's what aromatherapy is about. When you smell certain things, it either makes you, like grandma's chocolate chip cookies, makes you feel good and warm and stuff. Yeah. And then you smell something like that and it scares you. So I would say that with a dead body, most people can't say, oh, yeah, I know that smell. Not too many people can say that, but I can say it.
Yeah. And then for me, it's either farts or feet.
Oh, well, no, I had depends on what you ate. And also, my brother-in-law, he's passed away, but my brother-in-law, Jesus, some people do have, it's a condition, have really bad stinky feet.
Yeah.
And he would take his feet out of his shoes and we'd all have to air the house out. I'd be like, Patrick, please, come on. It doesn't bother me as much as a dead body. That's all I can say.
Well, for the first 6 months I was out of the hospital, I had pretty bad athlete's foot, and I took care of that. It took a while, but I got rid of it. It was pretty awful, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
I could put my shoe on for 5 minutes and then take it off, and it was just god-awful. But whenever I tell...
That's because athlete's feet is fungus, and
right.
fungi, it breeds and grows in moist areas, and it, that's a whole other smell. It's not just a stinky smell because you got dirty socks on. That is a conditioned smell, so I totally get it.
Yeah, absolutely terrible. I have a few jokes to tell you to wrap this up.
Okay.
What do you know what the elephant said to the naked man?
No.
Man, how do you breathe out of that thing?
Okay, you know what? That's an but it's still funny.
Yeah, it's one of those ones that holds up.
Yeah, exactly.
You know why men like to marry virgins?
Why?
Because they can't stand criticism.
Okay, that's funny. I have to tell that one to my son.
And you know how you make your wife scream twice?
No.
First you fuck her up the ass, and then you wipe your dick on the curtain.
Oh, Jesus, I'd kill you if you did that to my curtain.
Can you imagine the stain that would create?
I'd be pissed. I'd be pissed.
Well, Spice, I thank you so much for finally coming back on again. You know, the last time you were on, you were my 12th guest. Now you're 913th.
Oh, my God, you're kidding me, Tommy. Wow. Jeez Louise. That's a lot of work in between my last time, but I appreciate you thinking of me and coming after me. And, you know, I still check my Spice Williams-Crosby Facebook page. I'm just taking a spiritual nap from that, but I do have my actress, stunt woman, Spice Williams-Crosby page.
Of course.
I have my I Fight for My Life page where I'm still teaching martial arts and street smart survival skills all over the world and to everybody. And then I also have my Duke page for my faith-based film, my Talk to the Animals page, and also my Life Goes On if I can get the last 4,000 I need for that. And then I also have my Spice of Life Health Q&A, but every time I post something, Facebook takes it down because they go, you know, that's not true, and then it comes out to be true, and then I have to repost it. It's so stupid.
Yeah.
I'm so tired of fighting these corrupt, evil people. But anyway, I do get my personal messages off Facebook, so I'm on Instagram and also Parler and Twitter.
And you're a Renaissance man a Renaissance woman, I should say. I mean, of many talents and many hats. Just please take care of yourself and stay safe because we need you, Spice.
Oh, well, thank you, Tommy, and my blessings to you. Hope your family will be okay. You said your mom wasn't doing well, but I send you lots of love and light and prayers.
Yeah.
And I guess until we talk again.
Until we talk again, yes. Thank you so much, and have a great rest of your day into the night.
Okay, sweetheart. Take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, there you have it. Spice Williams-Crosby. Ain't she a sweet?